if I'm going to do this channel right, then you're going to get me in really rare times and really rare forms. I was working today, and before I started dealing with my clients, a client of mine, a student of mine, an acquaintance, a friend, whatever you want to call them, sent me a message thanking me for doing these videos. And just so you understand, in this video, I'm going to talk about the pain of loss and what's changing so much in our world and what we need to do about it, how we're going to survive everything that's going on. And so I got this email, and it's been weighing heavy on me all day. And the email is, hi, honestly, it's been a tough time. So I'm going to back up, because she had thanked me for doing these videos. And I just said, what's going on, Angel? What can I do to help? She said, honestly, it's been a tough time. I've lost family members, 3 family members in the last year, and 3 more who meant a lot to me. And I don't fit into a single category anymore. And it's been sitting heavy with me. So, I've been a top clairvoyant for 32 years, and I've never fully understood what people think about loss, because I see loss, I see our loved ones crossing over so much differently than most people. Doing what I do for a living, I understand that when you die, you get to go home. And so being here on earth is like being in private school or boarding school, and then you get to go home and you get to have summer holidays. And so it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and there's no restrictions, and you don't have to worry about free will, and everything's energy. And I've had the pleasure of being able to experience what the other side looks like and feels like for many people that have crossed over. And so I've always taken that for granted. And I'm a very lucky person. In many ways, I live a very blessed life, but I'm also very lucky because I haven't lost a lot of people in my life. And the people that I have lost, I've lost my grandparents, but I was very blessed, and I got to know them. I got to have them in my life till I was still in my 30s. I've lost a couple of uncles, aunties, but I was in my 40s and I wasn't super close to them. And September this year, I lost my dad. So sorry. And it was sudden, and my sister and I didn't get to be there because he wasn't home. Fortunately, my mom did. My mom got to be there with him for the whole time. It was a very quick process, and I'm still struggling. And one of the things that took place in this process of losing my father was I got to see how much hurting people, what that really means, because I've never, being so connected to the other side, I don't face that with a lot of people, and it would have to be very substantial people. It would honestly have to be my father, because as I love my mom so much, and my sister and my family and my auntie and my uncle, but functional or unfunctional, my father was my hero. So I finally understand sort of the pain that everybody's going through, and it has been exceptionally difficult. And I'm sharing this because you need to understand that losing people that you love, there's no such thing as that's going to be easy. And it doesn't matter what you know or what you understand about the universe or what you understand about living. There's nothing about losing somebody that you love that's going to be easy. And when you lose someone, it doesn't matter that everybody's got to go, and it doesn't matter how old they are or what they've gone through. It's brutal. And the reason that I'm having this conversation now is none of us, in regular life, before viruses and vaccines and pandemics and mental health the way that it is, and before any of this, it was sort of the one guarantee, right? Everybody's going to lose the people that they love, and the people are going to lose them. But our trajectory, our world around us has changed. It feels like, on a separate note, we're all having the wrong fight, because At the end of the day, we make such a big mistake as human beings because we'd rather be right than be happy. And I'd rather be happy than be right. And so, regardless of anybody's opinion, regardless of the reason that you think or don't think, regardless of the virus, regardless of a virus or a vaccine or fast food stores on every corner and the awful way that we take care of our bodies now, it doesn't matter the reason. We are all in the process of losing people that we love at a far faster rate. And so when I get an email like this, I've always really hurt and struggled with the emotions of the pain that people that reach out to me go through. This one hits a lot stronger right now because I'm going through it too. And the other issue that's taken place that nobody's fully paying attention to is, it used to be just a certain type of personality didn't fit in. And, normally those were sort of creative, internal, social struggling individuals like myself. You grow up never knowing where you fit. And that's always just sort of been a unique bunch of us. And with everything that's taken place over the last 4 to 5 years, and with all of society and all of the division and all of the anger and all of the frustration and, all of the social media avenues for people to be keyboard warriors and all the lack of interaction one-on-one, with the lack of connecting, those energetic connections, we've all really started to become misplaced. And as human beings, when we're struggling, we think that we're struggling alone. We don't actually think that anybody else is going through that too. And, as a top clairvoyant, I deal with a lot of people and I communicate with a lot of people, and I communicate with people that are wealthy and people that are poor, people that are married, people that are single, people that are happily married, people that are miserably married, people that are in relationships, people that are looking for relationships, people that have great jobs, people that have not great jobs, and everything in between. And as a collective, we're all going through it. And this last sort of 4 to 5 years, especially with the division and beliefs being so prevalent and overreach by powerful people. And not only are we feeling and dealing with more losses, but we're losing ourselves in this process. And we're losing our ability to feel connected to things. And, to understand that's like losing limbs. When you don't connect with people as much on an ongoing basis, when you hide behind the keyboards or you create a mystical life connected to your social media or whatever it is that you're doing, you're not gaining an energetic connection. It's a very lonely bubble. And we're losing connections with people that are in our lives. And so one of the reasons that we struggle so much with loss is this feeling of lonely, this feeling of losing someone in our bubble and going through the sadness that we won't, see them again, and that we're more alone because we're sort of missing one of our supporters, if you will. And that's up until, my dad passing, and not because I struggle with the fact that he's on the other side. I can feel him on the other side. It's beautiful. I've been given the gift of trans-channeling him. It's been very emotional, but a wonderful experience. For me, that's not where my struggle is, them being on the other side. My struggle is the physical loss that I didn't realize that I would feel. And so this is the time to really, truly understand that the reason you're not feeling them, and the people that you love that have passed on, the reason that you're not feeling them and that you're not feeling is connected, and that you're not getting the messages so clearly and so smoothly, is because you're struggling with everything. And unhappy breeds unhappy, and loneliness breeds loneliness, and stress breeds more stress, and smiles breed more smiles, and paying it forward breeds more paying it forward, and saying something nice instead of cruel breeds more saying something nice instead of cruel, and choosing to be happy breeds more happy. And it means that you got to put more work into getting that happy balance because of everything that's going on around us. All the loss that's happening, and all the division that's happening, and all the segregation that's happening, and all the society confusion that's happening, and all of the simplifying our living is happening. You need to put more effort in feeling connected and feeling happy. Where we struggle is that, one thing happens. You're going through a rough time, you don't feel like you fit, and then you lose somebody that you love, and then you just think you're getting past that, and then there's a problem with work, and then you just think you're getting past that, then you lose somebody you love, and then you think you're just getting past that. It's the problem is that we've all been on such high alert for so long, been in survival for so long, that it's even easier to fall into the trap of getting negative and getting sad and getting overwhelmed and getting beaten up. And now that I've lost somebody that has truly affected me in a way that I never actually believed I could be affected. It's going to sound crazy, but I talk to dead people all the time. Like, I know this might sound insane to some, but I was unbelievably close to my grandfather, and I'm closer to him now. Like, there's literally no restriction, right? So I really was gobsmacked when this happened, and I went through this pain. And I realized that, or I tried to focus on the good things that are the reasons why I experience things. And I think one of the good things that I'm experiencing is to be able to learn and understand that with all of the negative and everything that's going on and all the loss that's happening, it is harder to stay happy, but it's not impossible. You guys, it doesn't matter what's going on in your world. It doesn't matter if you're feeling loss. It doesn't matter if you're broke. It doesn't matter if you're depressed. It doesn't matter if you're alone. It doesn't matter. And I don't mean it doesn't matter, because everything matters, but that's not what's making you miserable. It's just what's participating in making you miserable. What's making you unhappy, what's making you feel lost, what's making you feel confused, what's making you feel like you don't fit, is that you're not accepting yourself and the changes around you. It's that you're not embracing and truly focusing on what does work. And it's because you're not sitting down and having those deep one-on-one conversations with those people that you love, knowing in your soul that they can hear you, that the only reason you can't hear them is because you're blocking, not because they're blocking. Leaning on them. I have had so many conversations with my dad since September, and I've had a lot of forgiveness conversations too, because when he died, I had a lot of guilt, and I think that's why I can feel him, because because I know unconditionally that he's there. But I've been able to experience that it is harder to stay happy, but you can still be happy. It doesn't matter who you are. You have a lot going on. I have a wonderful career and a amazingly blessed life, but it doesn't mean that there isn't struggle. My husband has epilepsy. He had a heart attack, and the day he came home, my father died. I have some issues with a couple of my kids. Like, it's not just because I'm happy doesn't mean that life is is wonderful. Just because I think life is wonderful doesn't mean that I don't have issues and that there isn't struggles. It means that I spend way more of my time, and now even more, now that society has made it harder to sort of stay up, you spend way more of your time looking around at what is working and what is good. My husband may have epilepsy and may have had a heart attack, but he's the most exceptional man you'll ever come across. And I have an amazing life with him, and I can accept going through those things because of what I have, right? Um, yeah, things are far more expensive, but I have an amazing career and I get to make a huge difference in the world, and I get to do well. And do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to find the things that are working, and you got to focus on those. And it's really easy to get overwhelmed by all the hard things. So you really need to prepare, because if you haven't experienced a lot of loss yet, you're going to, sooner rather than later, because of where our world is right now. And if you're experiencing the loss, you got to find a better way to deal with it. You got to honor them and love them and miss them without feeling like you're losing them, because you're going to go through it again. And life, the one thing that I've struggled with is that life doesn't stop because he's gone. And everybody else just moves on like it didn't happen. And I don't mean everybody connected to my dad. I mean society. I mean, you've had a world-altering experience, and that everybody should stop. This should affect everybody. And life just keeps going, and the sun just keeps shining, and it's not just lost. You have a breakup, your world's in shit, and everything just keeps ticking along like it doesn't matter. I really had to realize that the only people that it needs to matter to is the people that he affected in his life. I don't want everybody to pause. And he doesn't want everybody to pause. He doesn't want life to stop, because if anybody knows how limited life is, it's those that have crossed over onto the other side. They actually fully realize what kind of a blink of an eye your existence here on Earth actually is. And you don't have time to waste. You don't. None of us have time to waste. And it doesn't mean that you don't get to have rough moments and you don't get to have hard times. But you got to force yourself not to stay in them, because none of us have time to waste. And I understand that when your world feels like it's falling apart, you don't much care that you don't have a lot of time to waste, but you're gonna. There's going to come a point that you're going to feel better, and you're not gonna like how much time you wasted. I deal with it every day. I help people through that every day. It's going to matter. So you got to find a way to honor all these people that are crossing over and not lose pieces of yourself every time you lose someone. And I'm not telling you that it's easy. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to cry. You're not going to miss them. You're not going to love them and wish that they were there. The one thing that has helped for me, and this is probably going to sound so twisted, I'm going to sound like such a confusing individual, but the one thing that has helped for me is sort of an understanding that I absolutely miss my dad. I miss my dad so much. But I know that my sister misses him more because she spent more time with him. At this stage, I spent time with him before. She spent more time with him over these last 8 to 10 years, 15 years. So she's going to miss him more. My mom, my sister still gets to go to the same house and everything's the same. And I get to come to my same life where my husband is and my children are and my grandchildren are. And there is nowhere that my mom gets to go or be that she doesn't feel his loss. And so that actually devastates me for my mom, but it actually makes it easier on me because I sort of understand, right? And you'd be amazed at how much lighter it feels when you actually realize. And not because you want it to be worse for other people, but you realize that it's not as bad for you as it is for some. in every aspect of your life. It actually makes it easier because it takes that devastation it takes some of that pressure off. At least it did for me. And so, I suffer more for her, and that's easier because she's still here. So I can suffer more for her, and I can still see her and talk to her because she's still here. And then the added bonus to understanding that somebody's going through it harder, is that you get to be a better version for them too. You get to be a better support for them. You get to be because you're not drowning as deep as they are. And sometimes that's how you need to do life, because things don't slow down. So I hope that this video makes sense. I apologize that there's so much emotion. In fairness, it's like 2:00 in the morning, and I've been laying in bed channeling for 45 minutes to an hour, which can be extremely exhausting and then overwhelming. And then I knew that I just actually had to come and sit down and sort of verbal diarrhea, which is definitely a big chunk of what this YouTube channel is going to be, because I just don't think that I get so much information absorbed, and I go through so many channeling sessions, and I go through so much that nobody sees, that it feels like the universe is just wasting a lot of energy. So I'm going to share it with you. And I'm also hoping that people aren't going to feel quite so alone, and they might get a helping hand through all of this, because that really, really matters to me. So I hope you have a good day. And again, remember, if you can handle my crazy, to hit like and subscribe. And I'll talk to you again really soon. Take care for now. Bye, guys.